Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, here as always with Kyle Fergusson. Kyle, do we just call ourselves like the Blizzard Resistance at this point? We're here in the underground, taking the fight to Bobby Kotick.
Sure. Sadly, though, that's been used in a lot of big corporate movies and video games at this point, so I don't know how much the Resistance actually is a resistance anymore.
Well, it can't be worse than Rise of Skywalker.
Is that an okay opinion now? Is that cool?
What? No, yeah, everyone hates Rise of Skywalker.
We can trash on. Awesome.
That movie's bad. Awesome. It's a bad movie.
Awesome. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's a terrible movie. It's nothing did more for my opinion of Last Jedi than Rise of Skywalker's existence.
Lower those expectations.
Yeah. We haven't had this. We haven't done a weak sauce in a while.
No,
we haven't. In a while. That is not a tease, although I would like to do one at some point. More on that later. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'll be honest. I didn't tell you about this. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'm going to like overhead mount my light today and give myself like really dramatic shadows and like do a new intro where I'm just like, welcome to the Resistance, the Heroes of the Storm Resistance. We're going to keep this game alive despite Bobby Kotick's best efforts to drive it into the ground.
Damn.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, as always, one of the most bizarre conversations we have on this show because I am currently enjoying the heck out of this game. I'm playing so darn much of it. Heroes Lounge playoffs are next weekend, and we've qualified for them, so we're heading that direction where I play completely different heroes, or at least completely different styles, coordinated, than I do in Storm League, which I still do. I do my solo Storm League day where I play tank and bruiser, but bruiser is always taken, so I've been assassin a lot recently, and then I play with you during the week. We get to do duos together. I've got NGS coming up where I'm going to be joined by Mockery, Kai Berries, Cavalier Guest, and Coffee TV. Like, oh my goodness. And plus, I'm gonna break one of my rules here, Gary. I get 3 a year. It's the 17-month anniversary, if you will, of my son being in the world. And it's very exciting for me today. And he got to play with some old JP Jurassic Park toys of mine and some Star Wars toys, and he loved them. And I may be subliminally casting waves his way, but the two toys he took with him to the car were Han Solo and a Velociraptor.
Oh, I would watch the hell out of that movie, Kyle.
Oh, who wouldn't want to see
Speaking of things that would be better than Rise of Skywalker, Han Solo fights dinosaurs. I'm here for it.
I would, or the whole friendship thing they had going on in these Jurassic Worlds. I'm all for it. Well, a grumpy old man Harrison Ford, but there's no dog. There's just a Velociraptor. Let's do it.
How did we get out of as many Jurassic Park movies as we've had and we haven't had a Harrison Ford appearance? We even had a fedora in one of them.
Oh, on Grant?
Yeah,
I guess so.
Grant,
Yeah.
I guess it's more of like a Panama Jack hat, but yeah. Does anyone have a fedora in Heroes of the Storm? I don't think so.
We have Sheriff Raynor.
Oh, and there's like the mob skin for
Hammer.
Junkrat.
And Hammer's got one.
That's right.
Are those fedoras? I think so. The cowboy hats aren't fedoras.
No, they are not. They are the fedora is actually a very, very specific hat, and typically is mislabeled as a kind of a generic. But yeah.
Oh, and it's a Halloween skin, so I can't find it directly for the Junkrat version. Man, speaking of Junkrat, there's a hero whose kit is just like so my jam: tower defense, range bizarreness, but I just can't get behind being this wacky Joker man.
Junkrat.
Yeah.
I actually really like the aesthetic. I like Joker. Like I like pretty much every form of Joker we've had in Batman outside of the Jared Leto shenanigans. So I dig that. Like it's like Australian animated series Joker. Like I'm really into it, but I don't love the way he plays. However, as I've been dabbling more and more into ARAM, I've been being forced onto Junkrat. He's grown on me a little bit, man. Just a little bit. I'm not ready to start drafting him because if I'm being honest, I don't really know where he fits in. I don't have the knowledge base to know when it's Junkrat time. But
anywhere is my understanding from Cavalier Guest, who bans him every single game ever. Unless it's coordinated where we know the enemy team, therefore we're making informed decisions, and we ban things like Murky because they have a level 300 Murky and we ain't dealing with that. Particularly solo Sonias are just, as always, the most amazing one tricks on the planet. But Junkrat gives permanent vision through his traps. And therefore you have map control, and on something like Alterac Pass, where you could interrupt an objective infinitely, that's where the Junkrat is absolutely viable.
Is this how we empower Zagara? Do we make it like detrimental to try and destroy the creep tumors? Is that a way?
Dude, I got something real sad to say about Zagara here. There was a time when APOC was undertuned, and therefore every competitive player was doing Lightning Breath Diablo. And born out of that meta came Maiev, who had Containment Disc, which is a full stasis. You put them in the disc, they are time stopped, they are paused, and he will lightning on the other side of it. However, you now have time to reposition and not have to deal with a bunch of damage from Diablo. But there's this certain hero, Garrett, that puts people inside of some sort of maw, perhaps, and the ticker keeps ticking. And when Diablo pops out of that thing, Lightning Breath is over. Doesn't that sound like a stronger counter than what I just mentioned with Maiev?
It does. On paper.
If only Zagara brought something else besides that the rest of the game.
Yeah, because that's nice. You're comparing one... Cool. You took it exactly the direction I wanted you to, because you're comparing one ability to one ability. The thing is that those abilities you're comparing are also attached to entire other kits and entire other heroes. So you look at Maiev's kit and you look at Zagara's kit, and which one would you rather have, Kyle?
I'd rather have Maiev on my team.
Damn right. Boy, that Maiev was win against this week. That hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then we looked at the profile afterwards, and they're like, not even a Maiev player. It was like, no, they just knew the perfect pick, and they were sufficient enough for it to work.
Yeah, and Maiev's tough to predict if she's going to do well, because sometimes she ends up on like single range comps where like it's 2 bruisers, Maiev, and a healer, maybe double support, and maybe like 1 range, and you're just going like, that's a bad team. I've never seen such a bad team. But it just adds to the chaos so beautifully and so stupidly. You've got no recourse but to die horribly.
And you would not think of Maiev as an agent of chaos, but here we find ourselves.
She's emotional.
Maiev definitely has a clipboard, dude. There is no chaos in Maiev's life.
Really? You don't think
she is hunting down agents of chaos?
But she breaks that clipboard pretty often, at least, like over the knee.
That's a good point.
Snaps.
Definitely angry. Like Jack Skellington style, that's the first thing I can think of is breaking a... I guess it was a framed image with a piece of tracing paper over it, not a clipboard. Never mind. Sorry. Continue.
I don't know Jack Skellington well enough. He seems decently level-headed, except for trying to steal Christmas.
We watch it every Christmas, so it's relatively fresh in my mind here in the middle of February. But anyways... yeah, no, she just, I don't know, has a very disciplined supervisor vibe to her.
I can see it. I think it's the stigma is added to the fact that we don't have sort of an RPG aesthetic with her where she takes off her helmet regularly. And since it's always on, that adds to the stigma that she's uptight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if she was more like, under the shoulder, oh, fellow commander, I'm doing a job. I think I'd also, I'm kind of concerned about the ears. I've been very concerned about her ears for a very long time.
Oh, that's right, because she's a night elf.
Yeah. And have you ever like worn headphones that just kind of bright, just ever so slightly big ones, kind of push in your ear?
Yeah.
And like after 3 hours, you're just insane. It just, it hurts so bad.
Yeah. You can't fly with those. That is not.
And so she would have to like do it like from the back, like work the ears in and then kind of slide them up into those horns.
And then there's also the question of eyebrows, Kyle, because night elf eyebrows are quite long as well.
That's true. And I would say, not a big deal, but I've also worn a beanie for like 5 hours straight, taking it off. And like your hair is like super sensitive to being in any other position but that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you can feel pain in your follicles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that her ponytail? Does that get worked through that hole? And then there's an additional like scrunchie that, it's just too much. Maybe we shouldn't be exploring this deep, but that's her hair. That's her real hair. We got the woodland high priestess Maiev skin, which clearly shows that is her real hair and not some sort of Trojan decoration.
Yeah. Well, there it is. There we have it. There's the breakdown of my oven you did not ask for.
No, but we provide here on Into the Nexus. We also provide some BlizzCon coverage, so be sure to check out this weekend, twitch.tv/frogpants, where we're going to be kicking it with Scott Johnson, Jocelyn of Angry Chicken, me, you, everybody. We're all going to be watching that opening ceremony.
Yeah, me and Scott of everything.
Yeah. You're already here of this show, plus the instance, plus Angry Chicken. There just wasn't worth quantifying at that point.
Me of plays too many Blizzard games.
Nothing wrong with that.
To truly excel in any one of them. But,
That's why you're there. You're an expert on the subject.
I'm an expert at not being an expert.
And I'm there to hit the Pee Wee Herman hurrah button if they say, here's the storm on stage.
Yay! I don't have that on my soundboard anymore. I used to.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a shame. It's unfortunate.
It's okay.
It's very unfortunate. But tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, because that's when BlizzCon is starting, we're gonna be hanging out and chatting over twitch.tv/frogpants. We're gonna be doing live commentary during the opening ceremony. So, and after that, we'll see where the evening takes us. But that's what we're committing to for right now. It's a lot of people. We all got schedules, but we could carve that out for you. So definitely go and tune into that and hear us talk about. I'm assuming a lot of Diablo. And, well, we already know what we're going to be talking about in World of Warcraft because somebody definitely posted something too soon.
Was that like a news leak or just a somebody somewhere?
That was straight up the entire press kit got posted to the official Blizzard press site today instead of tomorrow.
Oh, no, it went live early kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a lot. So don't worry, we're not going to spoil you. This isn't a WoW show. We're not going to talk about it. We're just know it's out there. If you want it a day early, it is there.
Like anything, a movie came out and you got to avoid the internet for a little bit or whatever's going with WandaVision. I hear it comes out at midnight, which is not good for anybody.
Every Disney Plus show is that way. The Mandalorian is the same thing.
Huh.
It's midnight Thursday. Well, technically Friday, but Thursday at midnight Pacific time is when all their shows drop. And it just means that whenever there's a Disney Plus show I care about, I have to avoid social media every Friday while that show is going. It's a pain. So, yeah. Anyways, before we move on, we want to thank those of you who are supporting us over on Patreon. If you like what Kyle and I are doing here, if you want to support Into the Nexus, we are an independent program. Check out patreon.com/ITN because it's your support that lets us put the effort into the show that we put into it, take the time that it takes to prep it, to post it, to edit it, all of those things. So check it out, patreon.com/ITN. You'll get access to our Discord channel. You'll get access to the ad-free feed. Whenever we have ads, you will not hear them over on that feed. And you get to sign up for our monthly patron game nights. And we're doing one tonight, as a matter of fact, Kyle. It's a big week here. Doing game night tonight. We're doing BlizzCon coverage tomorrow. So go check it out. And to our most recent patrons, Ryan Berzumato, Charlotte Hill, and Tangent Chaos, if that is your birth name. And if it is, that's awesome. Thank you very much for supporting us. We really appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you. I believe we have a message from another new patron in our questions and email section later, but I pull patron thanks first thing in the morning. So we'll get you next week, but we'll also get your question.
Take advantage of that Discord to be sure to communicate with us, find people to play with and all that sort of fabulous stuff.
Yeah, they did because they dropped a question. I was like, I don't recognize his name. And it's because they're a brand new patron, but I didn't get the names in here. So we'll thank you next week, but we'll get your question today. Anyways, let's get into it. This week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
The moment is upon us.
Yes, I'd mana tap that.
As would I, Kael'thas. Actually, no, because the news is that there's no AMA for now. I would not mana tap that. But this was a consistent request on the Heroes subreddit after news broke last week that we would be getting jack, squat, nada, nothing from BlizzCon in regards to Heroes of the Storm. A lot of people took to Reddit to say, hey, can we get an AMA during BlizzCon line? Just something to, celebrate the fact that we're still here, keeping this game alive, playing this game day in, day out. And Daybringer got in there to say, quote, we actually discussed doing exactly this, but decided not to for a few different reasons, the largest being the fact that we don't have a lot to share at this exact moment. As you may have seen many times in the past, our development cycle goes through ebbs and flows, and we are caught in an ebb at the moment, which is very often the case coming out of the holiday season. That doesn't mean that we don't have anything on its way, just that we don't have anything we want to spoil, and having an AMA where we can't answer most of your questions isn't really a great AMA, in my opinion. Goes on to say that the team is still working hard, pumping out as much content as we can that we will be sharing with you as soon as possible. And then gives a kind of a community shout out and says Spazzo has already been doing his best to spoil as much as he can. And if you're not familiar with Spazzo in the Heroes of the Storm community, and honestly, I wasn't too sure either, but Spazzo is the individual that posts the undocumented patch notes, and it's kind of like the go-to data miner within the HOTS community. I almost said hot slogs. Sorry.
Hey, on brand right around here. Hey, it is true. Like, I believe he's the one who found the Li Ming skin that gets talked about a little bit. We want to see that Li Ming skin. I think there's also Spectral Butcher on its way and a couple of other unused data things that people have hoped will turn into actual updates. I really appreciate the undocumented changes because that's where bug fixes often are, and that is going to influence Heroes Lounge and NGS and whether or not we can play Hogger yet on Battlefield of Eternity. So this is kind of an interesting dilemma that I think the Heroes team has found itself in. We have worked our way into more of a co-storytelling feel with our developers. We are with them for this ride. They're no longer just DMs, silent till game day. And then there's mysteries, and we can't ask them about the mysteries because it'll ruin the upcoming content. I feel like we're along for that ride. We're part of their story. So when they tell us they don't want to ruin any surprises to come, we kind of go, come on. It's not that big of a deal, right? Like, yeah, I know you want buzz, you want some day of press and all that because it comes out in a big old bundle, but we're part of the story too, and maybe we can help you tell it.
Yeah, to me, like, I'm glad Daybringer said something.
Totally.
But it really is just kind of a repeat of what we heard from Brew last week. Just saying, like, hey, at the moment, we just don't have much to share. Except Brew's response, it was to nothing being at BlizzCon, and now with Daybringer, that's the response for no AMA in and around BlizzCon. So to this, I just say we kind of know where we want to know where we stand. We want to know what that dreaded cadence is going forward. Because we were worried going into 2020. And then, like, I had a chance to sit down with some devs, Daybringer being one of them, at BlizzCon and ask them straight up, like, hey, what can we expect in 2020? And they said much the same from 2019. And that was cool, and I think they hit their mark. Can we get something like that, please?
Well, it's a perfectly fine statement in that, and I'm not even going to say, like, corporate. I just mean surprise kind of zone. Like, if I was making you a birthday present, I'm not going to tell you about the hardships of shopping on Amazon for the parts and how I haven't figured out how to draw the thing that I'm making you, but don't worry, it's come. Like, I totally get where they're getting in a classic developer to consumer sort of exchange. But our frustration, or even simply our concern, is the coming up 7 months, if we're looking at the upcoming season roll, which starts in 6 weeks. That'll be 7 months since we last received an event. So when we heard about the anomalies going away and possible map updates taking their place, but we're not quite sure, and then no winter event, that is a wealth of time to work on something, and we're eager to know what that is.
Yeah, or confirm concerns, like just manage. I don't know. I want managed expectations, because there's also the chance that the team is even smaller than it once was, right?
Sure.
There's a very good chance, and it seems like we're already there, that we will not be receiving as much content for this game as we have for the past 2 years. Tell us that. Be blunt. It wouldn't be the first time the team has been blunt, like, hey, we're half the size that we once were. Cadence is going to change. And the cadence has clearly already changed. I would have liked to know that it was changing. I don't want the unhappy surprise of expecting a holiday event and not getting one, which is what we just went through. And then we
ultimately, though, I mean, is it worth taking a moment here to just say, like, not a big deal? Because it ultimately, it isn't. The game is awesome. In fact, many people have noted how wonderful the current meta is, how diverse, how awesome your draft can be. There are so many different options. There are tanks that aren't tanks. The support game is really interesting. The solo lane is as amazing as it's ever been. We have a brand new hero who is so damn deep that you can spend years mastering him. It's honestly a crazy time for the game. That also means we're that much more pressuring because we are excited and we're seeing this buzz around the game. So no matter what they do, they're wrong in this case. And I want to give them the benefit of that doubt. They come out as the DMs and tell us the planned story. We're all bummed. Oh, well, I didn't know. You ruined the surprise. But at the same time, we want to know the DM's actually planning something. And I've also been in the situation.
I'm really in that second camp that you just mentioned. It's just like, what are you planning?
And it could be just simple like human nature error. I'm running with this dungeon master analogy because I've been there. You watch Jurassic World and you're like, dinosaurs are freaking awesome again. I'm gonna make a dinosaur campaign, and then 2 months later you end up watching Serenity for the first time and you're like, oh man, I'm doing like a mind control assassin thing, everybody. And they're like, how do these two ideas fit? You can't have mind control dinosaur assassins. Pick one. So it honestly could be that we've created a situation where they're indecisive, where there is so much they can do that they don't know what to do next.
And we're dealing with a change of the guard and all sorts of things. Yeah. So who really knows? And that's a good point, man. And yeah, I'm very trustful of the team. I'm used to more to go on than this. Like that is an expectations that they have set through what I think was a really awesome like campaign of communication in 2019 and 2020. And that has ended abruptly, in my opinion. So that's why it's leading me down this path of being like, what the hell's going on? That's just where my brain goes. And it's also like irritation at all of what I see is very cynical comments in the community of just like, why do we even care? The game's been dead for years. I'm like, oh, okay, loser. It's gotten a lot of updates over the past 2 years. That's why they made us care. That's why we care.
Sure, the voices we should be listening to are those who have broken their positivity or broken their silence and are now voicing their concerns on places like Reddit and saying, hey, I'm not one to normally bring this up, but what's happening?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like you've concerned some of the more faithful.
But I also want to say that this is a very good statement. Like, this is human. There is a lot going on in the world. There's maybe even some excitement that can we just wait until like we can all work in an office? Could we like hold out? Like there could be a world of situations affecting this team, personal as well as pipeline, that are causing this delay. Yeah. And I think that this is as honest as they can be with that veil of secrecy, which is where I go, maybe that's old. Yeah. Maybe that is for a different style of game. Like I saw my news feed was like, zombies coming to the new Call of Duty. I'm like, no, surely not. The most requested feature from the past 7 games. How could you? What a surprise. And at this point, we kind of know what those surprises are going to look like. Skins, events. So let's just open the book and say, hey, here's what this might look like when it comes.
I think the most positive way we can take this is the way you've kind of taken it, which is they would rather show us what is next than tell us what is next.
Yeah.
So, and you can get cynical about that if you want, but I mean, again, we've had 2 of the devs now tell us they're working on something. We will get to see it, but it's not at a state where they're ready to talk about it.
Dude, everything's accountable too. Like that's the bizarreness of it. Like they could come out and say, we are really excited about this idea we have involving flying towers, and we're all like, oh, that's pretty weird. What are you gonna do? And then it doesn't happen, and then people for years are like, and of course the flying tower meta was ruined before it even started. It would have been glorious. They would have shot bricks for ammo, and ammo was coming back, and who knows, man?
Yeah, I mean, there's never been another Blizzard product that has put features on a box that never made it into the game, and it definitely wasn't Wrath of the Lich King with multiple features on a box that was shipped that never made it into a game.
Okay, first, Wrath of the Lich King aside, didn't Burning Crusade's box say flying combat, which just sounds absolute ass? Like, let's just be real here.
It was Wrath of the Lich King, but maybe that was Burning Crusade.
Well, maybe, yeah, Burning Crusade was the flying update. Yeah, maybe it was. Either way, tab targeting in a 3D space without ground sounds miserable. And then they showcased like what their vehicles were about, and I just wanted to get out of those things the second they happened.
It's a testament to the quality of the rest of Ulduar that we still think of it so fondly when it opened with a vehicle segment.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes, there is always risk in previewing things and setting expectations ahead of time.
Well, and you gotta balance that risk too. Like you can't just promise random things, nor you can say, enter a living, breathing world of mystery and science as you craft your way through. And you're just like, I'm bored already. I don't even know what this game is about. Are you going to zoom in when you crit in your trailer? Because I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So who knows? Yeah, you know, just because they haven't mentioned Battleground improvements again doesn't mean it's not necessarily coming. It's not like we got a preview for Anomalies before they announced it. They announced it, and Anomalies were there to test.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're doing Anomalies. Also, go try it right now. Go nuts.
Oh, and I loved them. I ate those things up. I thought they were excellent grounds for experimentation and theory crafting. But obviously the community did not find them enjoyable. And as we all know from April Fool's Big Head event, people take these things very, very seriously when they're getting.
I completely forgot about that.
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was kind of a really good example of, we can't have fun in video games.
Which is true to an extent.
Yeah. Anyway, you kind of mentioned the season roll in 6 weeks already. Anything else you want to comment on that? Like,
we can infer quite a bit from that. So your Heroes of the Storm League now says 6 weeks. So we know that around that mark of March 30th is going to be the content patch that equals the new season. There'll be the rank reset. There'll be some sort of mount up for grabs, perhaps, as they continue with that system. Seems like they've established into it. And the past couple mounts have been solid and great. And that Tiger King one was hilarious. So why not? Let's see more topical mounts. I'm all for it. This does showcase the idea that we should see the spring event. Then, at very least, we'll see the unlocking of the lunar stuffs and all the various spring things that you've come to expect over the years. Right now would be our time for a balanced patch. However, as we said, changing the guard going on, holiday season, and honestly, like not terribly flawed meta at the time. Like let's not be too dramatic here. It's fine. Your things that are getting banned, like Chromie, are there because she hasn't been touched, and she's not the terror she once was. It's not that big of a deal, but that's content.
Yeah, and we're still seeing, like, looking at just the most recent patch, we're still seeing upward trajectory on Sergeant Hammer and Zul'jin. So Zul'jin's still doing fine, even after the bug was fixed. Rexxar being the third highest upward momentum of the most recent patch, which I find fascinating.
There's some cool movings going on in the win rates right now, too, as people
I find
sort of
that
settle in.
Particularly strange against Zul'jin, who just loves getting stacks off Misha.
Well, of course, not exclusive stats, but yes, I agree with you. There is, and for both those to have upward momentum at the same time, I think speaks to just how Rexxar is being used, which is in that solo lane. And in fact, because we're running double bruisers, Rexxar doesn't have to go do merc camps as often, which he's not phenomenal at. And we could actually have more stunning, more team fighting Rexxars, which he's really good at.
Yeah. Yeah. Greymane's still on his way up. I blame you.
Sure. Yeah. I've been putting in my Plat 2 work pretty hard there.
Yeah. And it looks like we're like about to re-enter like a Uther concerned phase because he's about to crest 57% win rate on hot slogs.
I'm seeing a lot of Uther. I think that stuns are naturally limited in this game, and Uther brings a big pile of them. And I think it even speaks to more the popularity of Uther that I've heard a lot of mysterious patwangs out in the woods while I've been walking around this week, as Uthers have ultimately misclicked their ultimate Divine Storm at the wrong time.
Oh, so you think there's new Uthers?
I think there's a lot of new Uthers running around
shall we,
right now misclicking their buttons.
Take this moment to dub them Nuthers?
Nuthers? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. To all our Nuthers out there, be patient with that Divine Storm.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Also, to all the folks playing against Uther for the first time, do take note that the level 20 Divine Storm gets a little bigger, and that's the real scary part of it.
Ooh.
Because you might think you're safe, but that radius is increased by 50%, and now you're inside of it, and you're dead.
Just when you thought it was safe to get close to the Paladin.
Beyond that, we don't really know the other parts. That could mean a PTR patch in 5 weeks. Seems unlikely that they would have anything of that depth to test so soon after Hogger, using our sort of numbers we put together last episode. And we don't even know that there's going to be an event, but that 7-month mark does seem rather important.
And they've acknowledged another. What's the other bug that's still yet to be fixed?
The Kerrigan can spawn multiple chrysalises while on the moving track Volskaya Foundry.
Yeah, because they've acknowledged that one and said that it will be fixed in the next balance patch.
Which could be delaying our current balance patch. Who knows?
Possibly. Yeah. There's that promising, and now you need to deliver right there.
You called them out. See what? Yeah, exactly. That's what they're afraid of.
Want to know the cadence, man? I want to know the cadence.
Yeah,
I'm Are we going a full month between patches? Is it longer than that? I don't care if it's disappointing news. Just
you're not the only one.
Want to know what to expect.
People want an update to that 3 to 4 weeks, and if it's going to be 4 to 5 weeks, they just want to know.
Yeah. Clearly biased. Do a show. Want to know what the plan, but still, whatever the case is, that bias aside, this is how I feel. So, yeah. You want to talk a little bit about what's happening in between CCLs? Because that seems to be a new way that we're going to start measuring time in Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, a little bit, right? So we have a new CCL coming out season 2 in spring, and it's going to be ramping up pretty fast as they try to find their new organization after some have dropped off. Some players have dropped off. Of course, an organization leaving means good players available to be picked up. So there's all sorts of shifting and planning and pre-programming that the CCL organizers are putting together right now, and they're keeping people pretty decently informed. However, it is worth noting that if you just went through a giant tournament during your downtime, after you proved yourself to be good at this game, you may not spend that time playing more Heroes of the Storm. So some people have found some scared emotions watching their favorite streamers play other games. I would say that this is not that big of a deal, and when they complain about staleness, realize they just played this game ad nauseum. Maybe not for a full-time job, but certainly at every waking moment they could. And a lot of them are playing something called Eternal Return Black Survival, which is just an awful name.
Doesn't it sound like you just randomly selected names of bad free-to-play games off of the App Store?
Dude, I don't... Granted, it doesn't have like Retribution, or, I mean, it's got Return, so it's got an R word in there, or Revolutions or something like that, but no colons until you have a sequel, please.
Also, just Eternal Return. It's just too many errors in rapid succession.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. Like, who cares about the Black Pearl? What is this Pirates of the Caribbean movie?
Just call it that.
Let it happen.
Well, it's also anime as hell, and that
it is.
So, in a certain fashion, that explains the dumb name.
I don't know. I can't think of a lot of animes I watch with dumb names. But I watch very few animes. I'm very selective. Most people watch a butt ton of animes and don't really care what the genre is, which is what also is going to happen here with the Dota having its own anime. That's kind of crazy.
Is it?
It's
You know what I want, Kyle? I want deep lore on my not Warcraft, on my legally changed name, third person isometric MOBA.
Oh, we're getting to a copy of a copy of a copy for sure. It's getting a little
Yeah, I
weird.
can't wait for my Xerox anime, Kyle.
I'm also concerned about fractions of fractions. Like you're taking Dota, a game that is already very popular, but of course you're taking a selection of gamers who enjoyed that sort of rigorous learning and that sort of legacy that comes with playing that game. Cutting them down to the ones that just watch anime, or are we doing the other way? The people watch anime and then they play Dota. But ultimately, it doesn't matter because anime fans watch every anime ever. Because I've seen your myanimelist.com, and there's no consistency across what sort of type of animes you watch. So it's going to do fine. Are
you judging? Are you judging the otaku among us?
I absolutely am. I'm not sure what that means, but I absolutely am because I ask for anime suggestions all the time, and I tell the things I like, and I just get the most bizarre things in response.
That's fair, man. That's fair. I am also extremely selective, but anyway,
they're playing a lot of this Eternal Return Black Survival because it is a top-down RTS style, a lot like Battle Royale.
It's a MOBA battle royale, like
with anime themes, samurai sword girls and
the whole the art style is anime, but it's a MOBA battle royale. It looks kind of cool. Like it looks like cool systems. Anime aesthetic for things that aren't an anime I already watch kind of does nothing for me, but the game systems do look really cool.
And I think it's comforting to say that, there's going to be some little tournaments. There are going to be some players that go full hog on that, but many of them plan to return for the CCL. And darn if I believe they need some downtime after putting that much effort into Heroes of the Storm. Also, a lot of them are playing Valheim, which I'm very curious about. There are other games to be playing during this slowness, and I don't think we should be concerned about that. Also, there's a 30K and Chili Mountain combined tournament happening very soon. So there are some off-season activities in Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, and it feels like I've been saying this a lot recently, but once again, in the terms of players of Heroes of the Storm that you know and love, exploring other games during a tumultuous time in Heroes history is something we've gone through before.
Yeah, Apex Legends comes to mind with that.
Yes. We were like, oh, let's go to Anthem. That was a mistake.
Dude, well, I don't want to. That was such a nail in the coffin for my consumerism.
There's worse things to put in a coffin and close up.
No, it's true, but like it was back to back with like Inquisition, which was kind of weird, but okay. But then it's like into Andromeda and Anthem, and I just kept getting excited about things that were bad.
Well, yeah.
Oh, and that Aliens game, Forever Go Marines or something like that. That one I didn't buy, but
then we quickly pivoted to covering Apex Legends, and like we had a bunch of Heroes people on. We had Trixler on. We had Dreadnought on. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people were looking to entertain themselves elsewhere, and that's fine, and it's natural, and it's normal, and it keeps you sane. So yeah, you want to play something else, do it.
I think that's great because then we'll have a season of Heroes coming up with the CCL that we can all look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if, there's not massive meta upheaval like what we've had in the past with Heroes of the Storm.
I'm gonna play that Valheim game. People have been kind of selling me on the Dark Soulsiness.
If you're playing it, I'm playing it because I'm really interested in it. But my time is limited. But if you're playing it, man, I'm getting in. I'm gonna go try.
Yeah.
It's
other than the part where the words try to survive fly at the screen. I'm really I'm over that a bit. I played Don't Starve, and that was a miserable experience. So hopefully there's no food in it.
I love the look of that game. I have no interest in playing it. It sounds like it would make me very angry.
Oh yeah, no, it looks like the perfect game for you as a Tim Burton fan. But
Yeah.
ooh, like trying to run to your fire while you've got meat in your pocket, but it's uncooked and you die of hunger. The name is very accurate for Don't Starve.
It's the opposite of Eternal Return. I'm Don't Starve. Very interested in the aesthetics, not very interested in the mechanics. Whereas Eternal Return is vice versa. The mechanics look cool. I could, whatever. Another generic anime aesthetic.
Well, but hey, let's take a moment to talk about that because, oh my goodness, strategy games, as highlighted by BlizzCon, are not a big deal right now, and it is really nice to see a game come out where my skills might translate a little bit. Like, oh my god, if I was great at shooters, I feel like I could be great at everything under the sun during this current era of video gaming.
Current era, or we had Half-Life before Counter-Strike, before Halo, before it's been nonstop, man.
True,
it's been nonstop. Although some of those were PC and the others were console, but whatever the case is. Yeah. But bringing things back around to the Nexus, we did this last week, and I figured we could just keep it up. Like, anything you learned this week, Kyle? Did you have any
horrible things applied to my face? I did. Let me tell you about... Yes?
It's not what I expected you to say. But continue while I mute through these giggles.
Let me tell you about something that is apparently old, and at the time it was called Gandalf and the Hobbits. It is a 2-stack that you can perform with quite a bit of skill, involving Medivh, who is the Gandalf, and the Lost Vikings. So what you do is you get on your Medivh, and you're going to take level 1 fly around. This is a portal mastery? I believe portal mastery. At any rate, let me start putting this together for you. Raven Familiar. When you go through a portal at level 4 with Medivh, you get a Raven that hangs out with you. And when you make your next basic attack, this Raven dives off your person and hits the enemy, dealing damage and slowing them by 30%. So when you put 3 Vikings, which now have a build where they can all be together hanging out and increase their basic attack damage, and they go through the portal together, they all have Raven Familiars, which is a lot of burst. You then, of course, get Spin to Win, which means you are now on top of them via this portal. So you spin on them, you release an auto attack, massive damage. If that wasn't enough, you get Olaf's stun at 16, which means they are now stunned for 1 second upon receiving this. And hey, you might as well just throw a little polybomb on top of that. Not that you're going to hit multiple people, but you're going to polymorph that hero for 2 seconds. And now you have a completely disabled character surrounded by Lost Vikings doing mass amounts of damage. And why not Medivh lands anyway to put out a spell or 2?
So that happened to you.
Oh, well, technically it happened to my allies because I was Diva. So I was kind of immune to like the whole dying thing.
So you're like... You're like the scientist from a safe distance watching the predatory species you're studying eat your fellow adventurers.
Oh, and this goes even deeper a little bit. Arcane Explosion, where you deal damage when the Force of Will expires. Well, maybe you throw on a Circle of Protection at 13. Force of Will now applies to all near allied targets. So now 3 not only stunning, spinning, bonus auto-attacking Vikings, but they're also protected, and then they're going to explode for more damage, each of them. This deleted Hanzo instantly, deleted Malfurion instantly. I believe the game involved the Diablo, who died instantly. I, of course, lost my mech, but could roll away at the end of it, and it was rather unpleasant.
Well... I guess I'll just take comfort in the fact that these are 2 heroes with an extremely niche player base.
Yes.
So if you want to pull this off, not only do you yourself need to be a Medivh or a Lost Vikings main, but then you need to go and find the main of the other party responsible for this. That's ridiculous. That's so specific.
You need some pretty rare friends for sure, but on something like Tomb of the Spider Queen, where you can control turn-ins, Also, I've heard the only viable map for Kel'Thuzad because he can interrupt turn ends infinitely there.
Wait, what map are we talking about?
Tomb of the Spider Queen.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, okay.
So that's just some Cavalier guess hearsay I heard this week. But you're flying around. You got massive objective control and turn-in control because of your Lost Vikings, because of this Medivh watching. And you can instantly delete any squishy who is likely carrying some amount of gems in the first place while they're alone, which means no one picks up those gems. And it's a snowball in hell. And I would recommend it to anybody who can pull it off. However, in comparison, you and I tried to pull off some duos suggested by our community this week to very poor success. Though I will note that most of the ones suggested were like Butcher Valera, so there wasn't much chance of that happening.
Well, I was about to say, did we try him? Because I took a look at him and I was just like, yeah, all of this is pretty quick matchy.
It was a little quick matchy, but we continued our experiments and did not do well this week.
No. Yeah, I'm on the level with you, man. I'm frustrated. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm seeing levels of play from our fellow randos that it's just making me throw my arms in the air, and I'm at a point where I feel like there's nothing I can learn. Like, I just want to move on to the next game because the shit I'm seeing is so asinine.
That's a tough place to be in. You're blinded by rage would be my immediate assessment.
Yeah. And I was pretty flustered when we were kind of unpacking our last session the last time you and I talked, but I think I stand by the fact that I think we just need to get back to drafting selfishly because we're filling in roles that our three randos are not filling, and they're not bringing the goods with what we're building around.
It's true. I literally just spent how many moments talking about Medivh Lost Vikings. That's pretty damn selfish in the draft.
Yeah.
Like, if you saw that lining up in your plat queue, would you really be thinking, oh, here it comes?
That's where I would go. This is either going to be the easiest game of my life or the most hapless disaster I've ever bore witness to.
And I'm not dismissing like that team of two is working pretty hard for what they got compared to something like Butcher Valera, who will charge and target a single thing.
I'm gonna say that
control.
You would only think it was selfish if it didn't work.
Nah, that's
if
true.
It worked, and it sounds like it did, you wouldn't think it was selfish.
Well, we got a question along these lines.
Yeah, we did. Alan Hicks wrote into the Patreon Discord and said, here's a question for the show. What do you do when it seems nothing you do will work? I'm currently on an 11-game losing streak in Storm League. Whether I'm solo queued or partied with my NGS team on comms, I simply cannot win a game. It's incredibly frustrating. I've dropped 4 ranks in 11 games over the course of the last 4 days. I only play 2 or 3 losing games in a row before quitting to avoid feeling tilted. Any suggestion would be appreciated. Well, first off, you're doing exactly what I always suggest, which is stop after 3 losses.
Yep. That's a good step. You say you're playing with your NGS team as well, which means you're likely playing too correctly. That can absolutely be an issue for, I know tons of NGS teams and Heroes Lounge teams that just say, oh, we don't win Storm League because they're expecting certain rotations. They're expecting certain heroes to be certain places. They expect enemy tanks to zone, not be in the bush at the camp they're about to go to where they get mosh pit like that. That shouldn't have happened. That made no sense.
Do you know
Storm League players are insane.
Do you know what I hear there? Do you know what I actually hear when you say we don't win Storm League?
What?
I hear we don't react to information we're being given. We don't flex. We don't adapt.
You know, I think I could agree with that, but I want to change it a little bit. I want to say we don't react to in-game information very well. Because NGS and Heroes Lounge teams are really good at research. And some of them go as far as to have, this doesn't even seem that insane, but like my time with Ghillie Sharks, they would have spreadsheets of not only what they researched about the enemy team, but then notes after the fact about what they played and why they lost. So when they face that team again, they can then deduce whether or not their team has changed, if any players left, and compare that VOD that they saved up.
Yeah. And so that makes sense. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because if you're doing league play, that is a unique attribute of league play. You know the team you're about to play, and so you can do research ahead of time. However, it's so completely inapplicable to the Storm League environment. Unless maybe you just kept playing with your NGS team, because you probably would start seeing the same 5 stacks over and over again.
That is true. You could face them again. In fact, we beat a Heroes Lounge team last week and then went into Storm League practice and we faced them again. And that was kind of funny. We won too.
Well, yeah, because I mean it's trying to pair you with a similar matchup.
Yeah, I guess it's actually the matchmaking did fantastic there.
Right, right. And there's only so many 5 stacks out there.
Well, let's move away from the NGS part of the statement, because that's where things get a little muddied. When we're talking about solo queue, that's, I think, where we can really push the envelope and say, you're just playing correctly too much. Because I know when I'm in a multi-game losing spree, it is because I'm doing the damn right thing over and over again without it being the right thing at that moment, or without it actually reacting to the things happening around me. And it's miserable because I know how great I'm playing. I see my stats. I see my lack of deaths. I see all these different things. And maybe I see wrong things all over my own team that I can't change. So how can you break that cycle? And it might be to just play completely different things than you would normally play with your team.
Yeah. Like last couple of weeks, I've been talking about, like, I think I need to learn tank because that rolls and get filled. I think I need to learn tank because that rolls and getting filled. I never want to tank again in Storm League right now because it just feels like I'm setting things up for absolutely no good reason.
All right, let's be. You cool with being a little personal here?
Of course.
Okay.
Come at me.
So, all right. So let's say, let's not use Kael'thas because I know you don't like my Kael'thas.
I think Kael'thas doesn't win games where we are right now.
Yes, and I agree because my cooldowns are too long in between compared to something like Chromie or Jaina even. And once I do my big bombastic Kael'thas business, I'm kind of like, rest the team, you're up. Okay. I'm going to go run in circles in the background.
For context, for our listeners who don't watch the stream or don't watch your VODs after the fact, we've been duo queuing for a while now, worked our way from, you were gold 5, I was plat, you were gold 1, I was plat 5, and we worked our way up to almost plat 1, and now we've plateaued. And we're actually falling down now. And we started Malthael Greymane, because you wanted to work on Greymane, and I wanted to get away from my Sonya Rexar mainage, but I still wanted the solo lane. And it worked for a bit, and then we had to switch to stuns, and that worked really well, and now we're floundering, and I'm finding myself having to tank more and more.
Right. Which is a little bit of the which one do you want to be the weakest player sort of situation when it comes to plat, because everybody wants to carry. So you either get a weak tank or you get a weak healer. Can we orchestrate the group to maybe not have those weaknesses in the first place when we're also trying to assassin, which is ultimately the problem. But here's more my thought. So if you're on Gazlo and I'm on KT, what we need to do is work on our I hit a stun, you put the stun under them sort of combo. Okay. But with all the raw chaos happening around us and with all the misplays happening around us, that doesn't seem like the most important thing in the room. And therefore, it can feel like there's no way to improve right now.
That's fair. That's an interesting example because it's something that's very actionable.
Seems like it, right? But we both need to be on cooldown at the same time. I need to not have a Sonya on my face because I stunned in the back as I ran away and popped my shield, and then you're in the front line already because the tank engaged. So, we need to have much more focus when it comes to something like that. Another thing is like we were taking down a wall by a keep on Sky Temple, and a wall going down as a tank player is grounds for engagement. They're back there, they're DN. They're probably not watching that wall health. It's going to go down. I want to see you slide right in and get somebody. But the game up to that point had been so scrappy that to be so wholly aggressive in range of a keep seems insane, but is an opportunity to be a better tank.
Gotcha.
So how do you deduce that out of the raw chaos that is Platinum Storm League? And the only reason I know that is because I'm a tank main dealing you a disservice as I play on my Assassin's account and we try to figure out what we should be doing differently.
No, but
I could just go play tank.
Yeah, but that's the point. That's the point.
Yeah,
we're trying to get out of our comfort zones. We're trying to learn new things. But it's frustrating.
Absolutely.
And I've lost enough now where that is eroding. And now I just want to be like, screw these people. I'm going to play what I want to play, and y'all can react to me.
So if you are truly, and our writer here is truly interested in learning how to be better, think about the thing that's causing you issue and get good at that. So for instance, you are tanking in a very World of Warcraft style, which should be perfectly fine. You are tanking, you have 4 people attacking you, we have 1 Sonya attacking us. And for some reason, we're dying and then you die. Why would this happen? This is stupid. And on paper, I so agree with you. I've been there. Like, you are tanking the whole team. Why can't we kill 1 Sonya? And in that situation, well, you could go play Sonya, I guess. But instead, I'd say, let's put you and make you work on Tychus instead.
I would say that we do seem to have a very bad win rate against Sonyas.
Sure, that is because they're one-trick amazing ponies. They're the pick of the litter. They're the best in my opinion. And Brightwings and everyone else be damned because Sonya mains are the best in the world.
Yes, sure, why not?
So can you find a way to acknowledge that pressure you're receiving on ETC by working on a Tychus, for instance? And would that make you a better player when you return to ETC later on?
Are we talking about me or are we talking about Alan?
we're talking about everybody. We're talking about everybody at this point.
Gotcha. I don't know. I mean, my mind goes back to like play things that can get kills. So I resonate with your thought on Tychus and also how that may inform my tank play. Playing the dude what kills tanks.
Yeah. And we're also a product of our own league. And your play probably reflects what you see work in your own league. So we counter that with things that works in your own league.
It has been shifting rapidly, though, because you and I have been at this now for a while, and we've just within Plat alone, we've seen wildly different like micro metas. Where it's like, hey, what's working? When we started playing the map, playing the macro game worked. Through the mid plats, playing the stun game worked. Just being decisive, bringing the stuns. And then like it just kind of fell off. Like maybe we just need to go back to bringing the stuns because that just brings decisive kill potential with it. But
I agree. The big thing we need to work on, though, is that my stun is followed up by your stun and vice versa. And I'm not helping you with that either because I'm a panicky piece of crud because I'm on assassin instead of some beefy bruiser or tank.
Yeah. We do still seem to do well when I'm on bruiser, but that's my jam. That's my bread and butter. And I'm able to respond to your panic, right? Like we had, what was it, on Hanamura where that Hogger kept chasing you down. You're like, he's doing the 20 that where the Hog Wild, the Hog Wild just chases you indefinitely.
Yeah, no control. So I believe you were Rexar there, so I needed Rexar standing by me, so Hogger's no control had other options to bounce to, and I didn't take all the damage.
And that worked greatly because we were dealing with like what is one of the biggest concerns for you, which is that backline invade. And I could respond to it because I wasn't the main tank.
I forgot to mention I saw a totally unique combo this week on a Tyrael. It was Nano Boost Tyrael. It had top damage. It had 1 death. It destroyed.
That would require wanting to take Ana, which I don't want to do.
Yeah, just like the Lost Vikings Medivh, right? But we can make a combo out of anything is what I'm saying. We just have to find where it matches up. And when we climbed from gold to high plat, we never matched up because I did camps and you did lane or vice versa. And we owned the macro because golds and low plats didn't know how to macro versus us. We just took all the camps and had map control.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's find that lineup here, but at the same time, and to Alan's question here, we need to break our comfort zone so we can actually see those things. And I think that Gazlo Kael'thas thing is wrong, because I'm going to stun when I want to stun, because that's what I've been doing for 7 years. And you're going to use Gazlo stuff when you use Gazlo stuff because you've been solo laning. So what in our arsenal are we not so pre-programmed for? And that's where Alan's answer is, because he plays with that NGS team. He is playing pre-programmed.
That's a good point. I mean, yeah, do what we just did too, which is like take stock. We're thinking about the trends we notice. What have we been doing? What have we been doing time and time again? And again, look at your own personal stats. Like, what is really, really not working for you? At the moment, you're on quite a loss streak, so maybe it's difficult, but is there a trend in there? Is like 80% of those games a certain hero? Is 80% of those games against a certain hero?
A certain map is definitely one that gets me down in a season.
Yeah.
So looking at the hero pool right now, Garrett, what would you say that you were surprisingly proficient at, but have never taken into a drafted environment?
Well, the big surprise of us starting this experiment together was the one time I picked Kerrigan and we destroyed. I think that was the most ahead game we've had together since we've started duoing.
Cool. I like the sound of that. Mine's Tracer.
Interesting.
I am a surprisingly good Tracer in quick match. And I don't mean
quick match. Okay.
I don't necessarily mean that as a bad thing, because I have limit tested, is the way you twist that. I have limit tested to such a degree that I know who I can kill 1v1. And I have the ability to get out if a healer shows up or something.
Gotcha.
So
you know my favorite from quick match. Oh, you know this.
Valeera?
Yeah.
All right.
Problem with that is it falls on its face when no one on our team has an engage or knows when to engage.
It's also the problem that you would want to very much hold out to the very end, and then you should be an excellent drafter and know that it's not a Valeera game anymore, and that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what do you go to? Is at that point
you're gonna be healer is what's gonna happen.
You're damn right.
You're not getting Valeera. You're now tanker support.
It's all right, man. I'll just go be the next mediocre Ana player.
I think our other option is we take something I really enjoy, like support, and we get you doing something like that Kerrigan. So I will admit right now that I think Kerrigan Ana is awesome, and I'm not going to be your Ana because I too am terrible at that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for not playing Ana.
But I'll give you a Rhaegar. I'll hook you up with a Deckard. I've got a passion for Alexstrasza that is probably unfounded.
Trying to think. Alexstrasza could probably work better than you think. I think right now.
Kerrigan, Brightwing sounds fun.
It does. But do you want to learn support? Are we also? Dude, are you learning new skills?
Dude, I love support. I played support or healer in World of Warcraft. I love not necessarily sitting back because it's a very active thing in Heroes of the Storm, but I think it's a really fun mini game, and it's very, very different to be reactive compared to my normal tank and bruisering where I'm making the opportunity happen.
That's fair. And I wouldn't mind getting back on Tychus. Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting back on Tychus, and frankly, Zul'jin has piqued my interest.
Okay. Well, let's do that this week.
Cool.
And with Alan's silent confirmation, we will all play things we aren't good at in hopes that we learn new lessons and succeed.
Gotcha. What we really should do is sit down and actually look at our whole stats together and take a look at what are we consistently losing to and see if we can just take those picks. Unfortunately, I think one of those answers is going to be Sonya. So I won't be learning anything new. But I'm also at a point right now where I just kind of want to win games. So I wouldn't mind getting back on the Sonya.
There are plenty of statistics for you over at hotslogs.com.
Yes, it is. Not sponsored, but we own it.
Wait, yeah, it's auto-sponsored.
Full disclosure, I think is that it. Full disclosure, I own Hot Dogs. There you go. Anyways, let's continue the strategy talk, but in a traditional strategy segment, which requires playing a bumper, and it goes like this.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
Don't reveal our plans to our foes. I mean it. Not a word.
Kyle, you've been doing a lot of hogger learning.
So much hogger. Let me tell you what I've learned, Garrett. Let me tell you about it. Because it's exhausting.
Okay.
I am sad. I am... man, it's... I struggle to even think of a comparison. Maybe it's like making lasagna. You love lasagna, right? Maybe you're a guy that loves Cheerios. Freaking congrats on loving Cheerios. You can have Cheerios whenever the heck you want. But lasagna takes a lot of damn work. And that's how I feel about Hogger right now. I am so excited to taste the meal to come, but there is so much learning and bull hockey that I got to do along the way to become a good Hogger that it makes me immensely sad. And I'm here to share all of my findings with you all. First of all, if you want to learn to play Hogger, this is a segment for you. You need to go into your settings and set yourself to cast on release for both Hog Wild and Hortipult. Hog Wild, when cast on release, will show you not only the arrow where you're going, but one bounce into where you're going to end up. And that will actually allow you to line up your camps that you're going to do, which he's really good at, and actually have a chance to bounce somewhere that might be efficient and you won't die. The second big exhausting one is that Hortipult has radial targeting. So when you start to cast it, you can change which side of the loot horde you're going to end up on. And sometimes you might want to be on the far side to send somebody backwards or hit them backwards at the very least. Sometimes you might want to put the Hortipult in front of you because you're going to bounce off it. Or you might want it to the side of you so you can bounce off it. Either way, that is a very, very important skill to be using because otherwise you're going to end up usually on the backside, which is useful some of the time.
Radial targeting is like the number one thing I just get angry, frustrated with, and stop trying to perfect.
It's a bit much, but it goes so far beyond that. Where my mind is right now on Hortipult is that I'm going to use it like Ardent Defender on Urel. I'm going to engage very normally, and then I might do an aggressive Hortipult once the fight is commencing or to run the heck away. I need to force it into that mind space for now because engaging blindly on Hogger, I do not have the skills for. And let me tell you a little bit about what's going on here. So we ended up very quickly on this main build for Hogger with Bones to Gnaw, Aggro Range, Garbage Fire, Hortipult, Pummel, Headbanger, and No Control. This is a really, really good build if you're not managing your primary mechanic, which is your Rage. Rage does not work like Sonya. Rage just builds and decreases your cooldowns and increases the damage of your Hog Wild. That's it. Cooldowns and Hog Wild. Some talents may augment it otherwise. Cooldowns and Hog Wild is what you should pay attention to right now. We immediately gravitated towards this level 4 talent called Aggro Range because it gives you Rage during your Hog Wild. Otherwise, it just pauses where your Rage currently is. So if you line up the most awesome of Hog Wilds on the enemy, you can do it with 0 Rage because over the course of this rambunctious activity, you are going to reach a damage amount, increase the damage of your Hog Wild, and this is now a successful decision you've made. Without level 4 aggro range, you will do a minimal damage Hog Wild, and it'll always stay minimal damage across the length of that activity. That's not a big deal with the current build we run. You get Pummel in there that slows them down up to 50%, lowers spell power by 50%, which is really nice when you're going anywhere under the sun. You could walk into a bunch of circles. But ultimately, you reach No Control. And this is that talent we were talking about earlier today, where Hog Wild, an untalented Hog Wild, is going to chase enemy heroes and bounce randomly between them based on available targets. Because this is untalented, you need to actually work your Rage up in the meantime. So before you engage your sweet Hog Wild, your No Control, you need to auto attack. Each auto attack gives you 5 points of Rage. You need to take some damage, perhaps. Each instance of damage, regardless of the size of the damage, gives you 1 point of rage. So, you're a tracer counter. Yeah, you're probably one hitter, so, don't get too cute about it. But, getting hit by a bunch of little things might be a decent idea as Hogger. In this build that has been the stable build for so long, you can engage aggressively, put out 2 loot hordes via both Hortipult and your basic loot horde trait, and then go aggro range, bounce, till at least it does something, or you get some rage, and then you engage the no control on the other side. However, unless you're actually paying attention to your rage, your no control is going to do a lot of nothing, and you'll probably die doing it.
So is it just this particularly, for lack of a better word, tedious exercise in maximizing your cooldowns
that has made me a horrible Hogger for now? I went from being a decent Hogger with this one build to suddenly discovering that rage actually matters and sucking real bad at this hero.
Gotcha. So in your pursuit of ascending to Super Saiyan Hogger, you are currently Krillin Hogger.
Oh, I'm just D tier, F tier Hogger at the moment, because I'm suddenly paying attention to rage. And it's really, really important because it's how you're going to actually have an impact in a team fight that matters, not your random lane stuff. And if we're going to continue to play Hogger as first pick, we have to change our build, because the other Hogger, this Hogger style I'm talking about with this particular build, doesn't win against counters, which have now been discovered. Thrall beats Hogger with Rolling Thunder, the level 1 talent that gives % base damage. Sonya.
That's nuts. Sorry. Can we?
Yeah.
We need to acknowledge the Thrall bit, because we had someone pick a Thrall this week and we were like, wait, what's going on? That's what they were going for. They're trying to counter the Hogger.
It's Thrall is extremely low on our win rates. Looking at what we got, Storm League last 2 patches here. Thrall is sitting at number 5 above Zarya, Hanzo, Medivh, Genji.
Whoa.
45% win rate on that guy. But Thrall is a counter to Hogger. I found out these counters, by the way, by messaging the Thrall who beat my face in after the game. I was like, dude, that was awesome.
Okay.
I'm always first picking Hogger. Was I supposed to win there? And he's like, no, not with this build. You're also going to lose to Sonya, Malthael, and Diva's a skill matchup. And there's a couple other ones in there. The way you win that matchup. So let me break it down a little further. With this build, you have your bones to not level 1. Loot Horde creates a chunk of meat where it lands. So you throw your Loot Horde out in front of you, and then you immediately, without thinking about rage at all, ignoring all mechanics of being good, do Hog Wild straight down the lane, get your meat, bounce off that, and return to where you were. And against anybody, maybe like Chen, or maybe not Chen. Chen's weird. Let's go with Artanis. Artanis is nice and basic. Like Artanis, who has bad lane clear, you are going to instantly clear the lane comparatively. Now you have a whole lane fighting with you, and you can just start smacking Artanis with whatever under the sun you have. Not paying attention at all to rage. However, against Thralls and Sonyas and Malthaels, the damage they deal over that nice little lane clear is so high to you, you're now zoned out. And they're perfectly healthy to freeze that lane, let it walk towards them, be perfectly safe, and eventually push you out because you're running out of health. You aren't able to access that additional chunk of meat inside your loot horde because you threw it all the way over on their half of the map to bounce off it.
So what's up with Tychus having a good win rate against Hogger? Is it just raw throughput because he doesn't have the safe range?
That's just the Urel thing of like, the Hogger's made of meat, Tychus destroys meat, and you just don't have
into the meat grinder you go. Okay.
Exactly.
Just making sure there's nothing else I was missing on Tychus other than just murdering the Hogger dead.
We have all been playing this style of Hogger where we just do the dumb thing 20 times in a row and win. But combos and counters are being developed. Thrall certainly being one of them, Tychus being one of them, and we need to change the way our play. The way you win that matchup against Thrall and Sonya and the like is to manage your rage. And I've got some really interesting and sad news for you. Easy Throw Dynamite gives you rage when you hit it directly on a hero.
Okay, I was about to ask because I saw you talking about Easy Throw Dynamite. I believe on Twitter. I was also lurking in your stream the other day. Sorry for not saying hi. Is that your single biggest hang up? Is that your current,
it sucks.
Your current like point of failure on Hogger?
One of them, certainly. The circle's kind of slow. It has fly time. It's not the greatest range in the world, so it's sometimes hard to hit. It kind of sucks, but you get 10 rage for doing that. And plus, you pause the decay that would be happening every 3 seconds if you can hit that easy throw dynamite. The big secret that I found out this week, thanks to Zan in my chat, was that whenever you hit a stun with your staggering blow, you get 15 rage. And that's not just on heroes. So you can walk into lane, throw that loot horde on the other side, and then staggering blow at least 3 minions into that, and you're sitting now on 45 rage.
Okay. So knowing this is important to maximizing your rage and your cooldown reduction.
And rage increases the damage of your Hog Wild, but also decreases all your cooldowns, which means versus that Sonya and that Thrall, you're now going to have more easy throw dynamites. You're going to have more staggering blows.
I'm assuming the staggering blow trick is also applicable to quickly burning through mercenaries.
Yes, but I think some of them don't get moved and can't be moved by certain effects.
Oh,
so
interesting.
your average siege giants, of course, are standing there against the wall. You move them 100 times. They'll hit the wall. You're now on 30 rage. You start the Hog Wild after that. You're going to clear with way more efficiency than you ever had before.
Huh. So I'm trying to think, because like bruisers, other things that displace the bruisers.
Yeah, I'm thinking more like, of course, bosses don't get moved. And,
no, I wasn't
boss
talking
lights.
about bosses, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so definitely hit those things into the walls that they're currently chilling by. And 100% the bruisers, like on Cursed Hollow, they can be moved around. Though, of course, they'll have the spell shield for a time, so it sometimes takes a little longer there because you're doing spell damage. All the same, get that rage going when you engage there. Hog Wild also pauses your rage decay, which is very, very fast. And when Hogger first came out, everybody complained that the main issue with him is that he couldn't hold on to his rage between lanes. He couldn't double soak. He couldn't join a team fight. Hogger is very, very bad at doing bush stuff. Just sitting there and like everyone's like, ooh, let's get him. Because he needs rage, which means the fight has to go for a little bit before Hogger's reaching any maximum. That's why we're addicted to this talent aggro range, because it gives rage during the Hog Wild. But you've got some tricks, such as Hog Wild pauses your rage decay for its duration. So if you wanted to double soak, what you actually do is get in the darn game and research and practice the ability to bounce all the way from top lane Towers of Doom to mid lane Towers of Doom. And there are routes you can take. And they're not horrible to discover, but they do take work.
Gotcha. Once again, the importance of casting on release.
Exactly. You line up those good angles. Now you fly between the two lanes faster than you would mounting and walking there. And you're at that rage amount. And your brain goes, wait, no. But now I don't have Hog Wild for escape. You do, because you've got cooldown reduction if you managed your rage and kept it up through that whole time. And you'll have another Hog Wild.
So this skill ceiling is reaching cathedral height.
Dude, it is stupid cathedral. We're talking buttresses on the side to maintain the heights of this cathedral.
And they are flying.
Oh, they're absolutely flying. And there's art on the ceiling. It gets a little stupid, but it's really, really important. And with time and with practice, you can start moving away from aggro range. Not right now. I'm not ready for it. But aggro range actually isn't performing that great of a service when you actually manage your rage efficiency. There's also On the Prowl, level 1, which activate to gain rage, 30 rage over 8 seconds. That's 8 seconds you could use to mount and rotate, because you're gaining rage, you are not losing rage. You are pausing that decay. And if it decays at 3 seconds, you've got 3 seconds. You can let that go all the way to 70 and then hit this for 30 rage and get up to 100. That's enough time to get across the map and join a team fight.
There's so much math in this, dude.
Dude, it's insane. Like, they deceptively put this on a goofy, slobbering Gnoll who goes when you like move him around. Like, your brain just says, this must be stupid. I've got this. Let me just Hog Wild and win real quick.
And in reality, you're playing 4D chess.
Yes, you really, really are. But until we move away from Hogger being an early pick, we all have to master these extremes of that skill ceiling. And there is a lot to work on.
So at the end of this, I would like to end this, Kyle, by asking, is it okay if I ask you to cheat on your goals of duo queuing and pick Hogger when he's available? I mean, technically you're learning, and the goal of duo queuing is to learn.
True.
So,
yeah, if you're cool with that, I will purchase him on the side account. Okay. I will do that.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm just the mood I was in yesterday was just like, oh, Hogger's available. Let's just do it. Let's just let it rip.
I'm down.
And I'm just here to sell the fact that technically you're still learning.
I am. And there's a lot to learn. I hope this gave anyone who is curious about Hogger or currently playing Hogger in this one build a chance to break out of that mold, because there are other builds available to you. And a more auto attack build, as stupid as it seems on paper compared to this main one with the bones to gnaw and all that sort of business, is how you're going to beat those counters like Thrall, Malthael, and Sonya. It is a much more structured solo lane process. Well, and ultimately, you have to have rage management, because everyone's going to say no control is OP, but you're not OP unless you actually cast it when you have some rage.
Well, in closing, Kyle, before we get to emails, I just want to say thank you for making a mountain out of a Gnoll-hill.
Darkness stopped calling.
Does anyone else hear that buzzing?
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. If you're a patron, you can drop us a message right there in the patron Discord. LDAP did exactly that, and wanted to know if we signed the Heroes of the Storm Change.org petition, Kyle, or retweeted from our Twitter accounts, and if so, why? If not, why not?
Man, this is going to seem really pessimistic.
Are we going to find something that Kyle is cynical about?
I've been on a cruise before, and I'm pretty sure that cruises are the #1 reasons you get spam for 10 years straight.
I agree, man.
And so I know I can like opt out of things, but I'm constantly getting like gift cards to Home Depot that don't exist in my mail.
So you haven't signed because you think you're going to get additional spam?
Yeah, I know I change.org is probably something I could easily like click a button and like say no thank you, but I didn't do it for the pure like old person idea that, you know, my credit card would be online. I'm not buying from Amazon. They'll have my credit card.
Well, let me confirm for you, Kyle, that as someone that did sign it, I've gotten like 7 change.org emails this week.
Okay. But you could opt out of them, surely.
Yeah, I have since opted out, and it was a single unsubscribe, and it was no big deal. But
like I got this. I owned a different Steam account when I had a Mac. And back then, and I don't know if this is the case anymore, but I owned 2 games, Braid and Plants vs. Zombies.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's only 2 games on the Mac Steam store.
Probably. And those are probably the 2 games, and I owned them. And that thing is constantly under attack. And I just let it ride. It's like just
that account?
It's fascinating. Like all over the world, it's under attack. Constantly. By many different countries I've never even heard about. It's a learning experience.
Well, that's wild. Yeah, I don't put a lot of stock into these types of petitions. I struggle to think of a single one that changed anything in a meaningful way that came on my radar. But I also just kind of had the feeling of, what could it hurt? So I signed it.
That's probably the right way to do it.
Yeah. To me, it was my way of saying, I appreciate your passion, Heroes community. That was my defense of signing it, I guess.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of cynical takes on it, and honestly, I kind of share that. Like I just mentioned, I'm just like, what do petitions really get done? But whatever the case is, it is a measurable metric of people's passion, if nothing else, and that's kind of cool and interesting.
To me, it's more like when someone on stage says, "Come on, everybody," and starts clapping. My reaction is, no. I'm good.
We are two very different people at concerts, Kyle.
You clap? You clap?
Yeah,
You
man. What are you doing at the concert? Why are you even there if you're not going to get caught up in it?
I'll stand. If other people are standing, I definitely stand. You know, I'm a big fan of standing ovations and whatnot.
There's usually not an option. If there's not seats, are you sitting on the floor and not seeing anything and possibly getting stepped on?
No, I'm talking about like in a proper theater setting. You're seeing a concert. I'm not talking about like a wild concert. Then I'm already standing. You're right. You're right about that. But I don't.
What? If there's seats, you sit. If there aren't seats, you stand.
But the song is good, so you stand up at the end and clap because you are so overcome with the need to clap that you.
Oh, you're talking about like standing ovations. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Going to like a Weird Al concert or something? I'm trying to think of a concert I've been to that had nothing but seats.
Oh yeah, no, that was that like Bryan Adams I went to. I haven't been to a lot of.
Oh, that okay. Never mind. That makes all the sense in the world. Okay.
Yeah.
Following. Sorry. I don't mean to judge. It's just my reaction. I'm still when it comes to musical opinions, I'm still 16 years old.
Yeah, I'm very much of like will there be seats at this concert music hall? I would like to sit for my 2 hours.
I can tell you as someone who grew up going to almost exclusively standing room only concerts, that it's nice to still go see those bands at my age now because the audience is old. And while we're still standing, it's a lot calmer, and I'm not getting my neck injured.
That's good. I got floored at a oh man, who does the one about you backed into a cop car, but it's okay?
Back to a cop car, but it's okay.
Oh.
You've seen Modest Mouse?
I saw Modest Mouse.
I love Modest Mouse. I've never seen them live. That's awesome.
I got clotheslined. And it sucked.
At a Modest Mouse concert?
Oh yeah, man, the people were going nuts.
I
like that song though. I still like that song. I assumed during it.
I assumed Modest Mouse concert was nothing but you couldn't even see the band because of the pot smoke. I figured it was like the chillest thing on earth.
No, it got pretty rambunctious. This was by the way, opening weekend at Florida State University. So people were pretty jazzed.
Oh, so you just had like. It wasn't just a Modest Mouse crowd.
Yeah, it was a celebration of teen drunkenness.
Okay. That makes that you preserved my assumption of Modest Mouse crowds.
I still like that song though. It's a good song.
It's a good album. That whole album is good. The one that followed up was really good as well. I'm trying to remember. I actually like the follow-up album to that more. But yeah, good band, great discography. They have changed so much, and all of it's interesting. Anyways,
but I do want to conclude this question with I don't feel like I'm a pessimist. I just was concerned about my email. This isn't some like great dialogue on political movements or anything. I just went, and moved on with my day.
It's a video game. I wouldn't think it's a commentary on political movements. Unless the game in and of itself is a political statement, but I wouldn't go out on a limb and say that Heroes of the Storm is.
No, I think that's okay.
No.
No, even did Division 2 like blow up the White House?
The whole Division 2 takes place in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Which made it a lot worse, in my opinion. New York is a way more interesting playground than Washington, D.C.
Oh, I love Washington, D.C. I loved Fallout 3 because I spent a lot of time there as a kid.
Okay, gotcha. I went to it once, and it was the most boring family trip I remember from my childhood.
Sure, but you gotta,
It was on the way to New York, and I just wanted to get to the National History Museum. That's like
my grandfather, for ill or good, was very ingrained in the political spheres of Washington, so we got to see and meet a lot of people.
Gotcha. Well, moving along with questions. Ryan B. also wrote into the Discord and said, in your minds, do you think the current way Blizzard is handling HOTS is sustainable?
Yes.
Very
sustainable.
I don't think I can answer that question truthfully.
Yeah?
I don't think I have enough information.
Oh.
No, I think we don't have enough information. I think expectations have changed drastically overnight with not a lot of communication.
We are currently in an unknown period. This is the part in the relationship where you find out the other person doesn't really like talking on the phone, and you're concerned about how you're going to maintain the communication over the summer break.
We are definitely doing a long distance relationship.
Yes.
It's called silence at BlizzCon. Yeah.
It's not bad, though. Sometimes people are just busy or have a lot on their minds. And that's basically the text they sent us.
I would say if you really like the meta we are in, then the answer is yes. Because in that relationship analogy you just made, it's like, are you at the happiest point in that relationship? Well, cool, you get to stay there for a while.
And I think that's really good. And I think that is sustainable. We're seeing a lot of YouTube reviews of this game come out. In fact, there was another one this week from a Magic the Gathering channel. Let me actually grab that.
I was unaware of this. That's interesting. That's strange.
Yeah, it was by a guy by the name of Merchant.
Okay.
Did a Heroes of the Storm review called Is It Good? And basically one of his top comments for the game was, well, yes, it's good. But he really likes how he can leave for 3 months now that the whirlwind of HGC is over and come back and still enjoy the game. He can binge it. Binge, and then leave. And then binge, and then leave. Without it being completely overwhelming. And when he comes back, there's something exciting, like maybe Hogger, Deathwing, that piques his interest and adds to that binge, but doesn't ruin his overall experience.
Huh. That's interesting.
So what we wanted back in the day was a balance between these two ideas.
Yeah.
We wanted to hang out with our friends, but also see you on the weekends, Blizzard. Whereas, Blizzard was always trying to stay over and like be a part of dinner and stay too late, and then we didn't get to hang out with our friends because they released 3 heroes in a month. So, and then they want to use the TV to watch Friends, but you want to play Halo. We're talking like this is a very high school relationship.
It sounds extremely personal.
It happens.
Did I overstay my welcome, Kyle?
But no, you're good. You didn't want to watch Friends. You wanted to play Halo.
First time I met Kyle, everybody, he fell asleep on my floor.
Yeah, that's true.
He was very tired.
Except for I did do excellent on my finals that month. So
good
a
on
friend
you.
who stayed awake in that relationship while I was hanging out got C's on those finals, whereas I got A's. Also, something about Southern Florida just puts me to sleep.
It's not thrilling.
It's also the humidity. You go inside and then it's hot outside. It's cold inside. Cold to me is go to sleep. So lo and behold, I fell asleep.
Well, there it is. That's the wonderful story about how I met Kyle. I think we said maybe 5 words to each other. Then I went and played Xbox with Brian, who did
played like that game with the ice monsters.
It was the first Lost Planet on Xbox 360.
Oh, yeah.
I was playing it on a CRT television that I think was maybe 14 inches wide.
It was a good nap. It had a nice floor.
I remember that floor, and it was not. You should probably go get a blood test.
Listen, I was just taking naps at college. A floor in a house was fine.
Fair.
That
Fair.
floor I fell asleep for at the dormitories was probably more diseased than your carpets.
Yep. You're about to hear Brian's music as the outro music. That's the same Brian. Kyle's roommate, Brian. I've known him since I was 4 years old, Brian. Yeah. Valkymer wrote into the Discord and said, several heroes enjoy a crossover role, such as main take Leoric or offlane Arthas. Which hero has been your favorite to watch grow into a side role, and why?
Oh, man, you named him off the top there with main tank Leoric. I think that is fabulous.
I don't particularly enjoy any heroes that have kind of developed this unique side role, but I will say the one that has struck fear into my heart is like solo lane Phoenix. That is really hard to deal with, and it drives me crazy. And I just pray someone on my team is a good ganker / reporter when that happens. If I'm staring down the barrel of a Phoenix in my solo lane, I really hope one other person on my team is down to clown around with some potential ganks.
I mean, to be fair, Phoenix versus Rexar is kind of like the kid who does rainbow moves and checkers. Like, it's not really fair to you. Oh yeah, where they grab and then they go rainbow. They're just cheating. Like, you were gonna have this nice structured chess match.
We're tapping into a lot of very personal Kyle Fergusson memories today.
I don't like it. People cheat. But, the bruiser lane is very interesting. And it's like, I'll move here. I'll move here. Well, I'll take this unique talent because I know our matchup. But then Phoenix ends up in your lane. You're just like, well, okay, I guess I lose.
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, it's not, okay, I'll lose. It's like, I guess I'll safety soak.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about playing Diva into Stukov. It's like, well, I could bomb or just be silenced and not do any of the things I like doing.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's my answer. And then finally, Array. A brand new patron. Array, we'll give you the thanks next week because I pulled names at the beginning, but welcome. Array asks, as someone who hasn't played the game really since the end of HGC, damn, what should my motivation for picking up the game again as a solo player mostly? So what should their motivation be?
Oh man, I mean, you've got the MOBA job of figuring out all the heroes you missed out on because you might face them and they do weird things. Like we've had a lot of unique heroes. Imperius, for one, has a wicked stun. Kira does a lot of crazy stuff. Deathwing, of course, has very unique counters. May is not terribly unique from Johanna in the way you might play against her and around her, but can still be an issue. And then, of course, we talked about Hogger for an extended point today.
Yeah.
Like, just machine gun those until you're comfortable, and you'll see some matchups along the way.
Yeah. If you're an old school player, I think you'll understand May really fast. And then you also layer on top of that the major reworks that we've had over the past couple of years. We spent a lot of the last couple episodes talking about it, so check those out. But your Gazlo's somewhat different. Tassadar is extremely different. Tassadar is basically a mage now, like a proper burst mage. And what are some of the reworks I'm forgetting?
Cassia Tracer had a light one.
Cassia works pretty much the same. It's just now she'll destroy you if you're not careful.
She has a lot of sustain. She's kind of the new. She's taken the place of Vala, really. Because I'm going to do spells in between autos.
Because pre-rework, it was still don't stand in the cone and spread for ball lightning, and that's still your basics of not instantly getting owned by Cassia. So, but yeah, that's a good
Chromie
point.
got a big rework. That's a big one. Stitch's rework happened, though it probably won't blow your mind if you're not familiar with Stitch's.
Yeah,
there's a lot of little tweaks to all the heroes, and the free-to-play rotation's pretty generous. I mean, what are we looking at this week right now in terms of what's available? Where's the little symbol? Oh, there it is. We got Lucio, Tyrande, Zool. Zool got a big rework during that time.
Yeah. Tyrande's
super viable.
Tyrande's big rework was during HGC. I mean, she's been tweaked, but...
Yeah, and to me, it's still very much the same without all the hootie shoots that were causing issues to quick match players.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. But, I mean, you're really just going to need to go on a journey. Like, what are you the most interested in? And don't necessarily discount old heroes just because they're old. Some of them are still very formidable.
Oh, the other thing you probably missed out on that you need to really take note of is destroying a building when you get the chance, because the periodic catapults.
Ooh, good mention. Yeah.
So when it used to be that camps were like kind of the meme that you were going to go take when you won a team fight, but objective was mainly the goal. Now it's all about getting down that fort or keep, because they'll start spawning catapults, which pressure the enemy team, keeping them off the map, causing you to win eventually.
Yeah. But in terms of motivation, like if I were in your shoes, my motivation would be like filling out my roster, because you can like favorite 8 heroes.
Yeah.
I would be excited about filling that out. If I were in your shoes, I'd be excited about discovering heroes that I really, really like playing, and like adding them to that and filling that out. And if I was interested in drafting, I'd be interested in having at least one of the each role, and then like really crafting my favorite role. So for me, like my roster, it's a ton of solo laners, and I've got like 1 healer, 1 tank in case I need them.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the draftability of your role right now at all. Just find 3 heroes, or even better, find that 8, unrelated as they may be, that you can go on, and then find what maps you like for them.
Yeah, and there's no rush on filling that or anything. I was just saying, like if I was coming to it fresh, like I would enjoy taking my time and finding my favorite heroes.
I like it.
Welcome back, Array.
Welcome back.
There's a lot of things to sink your teeth into. Have a good time. Let us know how it goes. Keep checking in. But Kyle, I think it's going to wrap it up for this episode. We've got dinner to eat before we get to games tonight.
Yes, Bonanza, and then on to BlizzConline, where surprises may wait.
Yes, if you want to hear us talk about things that aren't Heroes of the Storm, we'll be commentating BlizzConline's opening ceremony tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time over at twitch.tv/frogpants. Kyle, you and I like other Blizzard games, except for Overwatch. So expect
it's a gameplay thing. It is the golden child. We hate it a little bit for that because of Heroes, but yeah, it's just gameplay. It's just
the same all the time, constantly.
People say that about Heroes though, so we're insane, they're insane.
There's
everyone's
so
insane,
many more Heroes though.
I agree, and more maps, and yeah, I agree.
Is that true? There's a lot of maps in Overwatch.
I actually don't know. I just know that when I get in them, I will be shooting.
Yes,
and I'm not good at shooting.
Or pushing a payload and shooting.
Yes, that could happen.
Yep. We're only doing that on one map in particular here in Heroes of the Storm. And we may not be shooting while pushing a payload.
That's true. We might be fighting or swording. Shooting action.
I guess you could be swording as Genji in Overwatch or hammering as Reinhardt in Overwatch.
That's true.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just, I get bored with shooters after a while. It's a perfectly fine game.
It's fine. It's fine. It's
not
don't linger on it. That makes it weird. Just go on.
It's fine. I just like teasing. It's my brand, Kyle. My brand is the cranky Overwatch guy that used to do an Overwatch show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's my brand. I have a lot of brands. That's one of them.
Okay.
Anyways, thank you so much for listening, everybody. If you want to support the show, check out patreon.com/ITN, get into that Discord, get into those monthly games that we just talked about. And also a huge thanks to our producers. So Declan H, Cheesy Bob, Chris K, Mike C, and Sean B. Thank you very much for your support. You can catch us live Thursdays over at twitch.tv/AMoveTV. Give that channel a follow. And also follow at ITNcast on Twitter to know exactly when we're going live. Other than that, Kyle, where can people find you?
You can find everything I do over at kylefergusson.com, including Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition content, DM Learn to Play shows, as well as a live D&D play show called There Will Be Dungeons. You can find links to everything over there. But of course, if you want Here's the Storm content, check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/KyleFergusson and my YouTube, youtube.com/KyleFergusson. 2 S's in Fergusson.
Do it. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter, GARRETTART on Twitter. Go give me a follow there. AMove.tv for this podcast and every single other one that I produce. That's spelled AMOVE.TV. So go check it out. Just put out a brand new Angry Chicken episode last night. I'm sure that we'll have quite a bit to talk about next week as we're heading into a new standard year in Hearthstone. WoW Killer just had a new episode. It's all over there. Check it out. amove.tv. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Into the Nexus. Until next week, good luck and have fun, everyone.
Take care of your rage as Hogger.